Snowglobe by Amy Wilson. Prologue. There were 3 sisters named for Jupiter's moons, Ganymede, Callisto, and Io. As they had blood in their veins, so they had magic, fine and strong as a spider's web. They lived in a house of white marble, and the towers stretched to the sky and speared the clouds, searching. They said, for the moon. They filled it with miniature worlds, set whole galaxies spinning, caught within glass spheres, and then they hid in their house while the world changed. That was their lot, but lots can change, and change can be chaos. Callisto was the first to go. She left for love and the laughter of a boy with hair as red as fire. Io was next. She left for solitude and found her home in a place none could ever change. Ganymede was left alone in that house of infinity. She stalked the marble corridors, ruling over everything they had created with a hard eye. The world never knew of these sisters. Their house went unseen, their stories unheard, and then came chaos. Chapter 1. It's not like it's hurting, not much, and the lesson is only 10 minutes longer. I've been watching the clock, so he'll have to stop soon anyway. I try to ignore it, and it's prod, prod at the base of my spine. Prod, prod, like a heartbeat, only not so regular. It's science, and we're sitting on stools, so it doesn't take much for him to reach back from the bench behind and do it. 1, 2, prod, prod. I find myself counting the seconds between them. 10, 11, perhaps he's forgotten. Prod, prod. 13, 14, 15, prod. I don't know why he took such a dislike to me. It was pretty instant. I remember on the first day of school. He looked at me. I looked back at him. I tried to smile, but she turned and said something to his friend, and they both began to laugh. It took me a few seconds to realize the laughter was unkind, and the smile froze on my face. Heat rushed to my cheeks, and they laughed harder. They laughed at everything then. My clothes, my bag, my hair. She said my eyes were weird. He said my eyes were weird. That all of me was weird. I went in every morning trying not to be, hoping it would be different. New bag, bright smile, same eyes, no difference. What was worse, he turned the laughter on to anyone who sat by me. Nobody sits by me now, except for those who are made to in lessons. It's okay. I read my books, smile at the new kids, hope it will change. It hasn't, so far. Doesn't matter how bright I make my smile, the weirdness shines brighter, I guess. Mrs. Elliot is talking about the homework, and I'm behind already, so I should focus. I try to listen, but prod, prod, that's all I can hear now. All I even am. It is my heartbeat. Prod, prod, faltering and mean. Prod. She's saying something about force. Prod. And then there's a whisper, and I breathe, and a breath of laughter. And something breaks deep inside me, like a wishbone that's been pulled too tight and shattered into pieces. Stop, I howl, rolling from my stool to face him. Just as he reaches out his arm again, I push it away and something flashes, bright as lightning. His stool ricochets across the science lab, and he flies with it. There's a terrible crashing racket as he and the stool land up at the far wall, and then a deafening silence. My ears are ringing. My head feels like it's been pressed in a vice. Clementine, grab it, shouts Mrs. Elliot. Mrs. Duke's office immediately. She charges over to Jago, who is in a little heap beside the now broken stool. He stares at me, like he knows something, like he's got something on me now. Like he knew all along I was a freak, and there's evidence. He knows it wasn't ordinary. It wasn't just strength. The whole class is silence, and they watch without a word as I pick up my bag and head out of the room. It was magic. My mother's magic. I've been pretending ever since my first day at secondary, ever since Jago first saw the weird in me. It isn't real. The roar of my blood, the flashes of static, all just the fantasies of a daydreamer. And then I, smaller, that was all it was. But ever since my 11th birthday, it's been getting stronger, less dreamlike, and the last 2 minutes have changed everything. Tell me what happened. I can see from Mrs. Duke's face that she really wants to know. I'm a quiet girl. I don't hit or shout or storm out of the classroom. I don't make a fuss. Sometimes my work is scruffy. Sometimes my homework is late, and I don't have the best grades, but I'm not a troublemaker. I don't know. Clementine, I can't help you if I don't know what's going on. This seems out of character. She leans forward at the waist, looking at me intently. Her expression is so kind. I've never seen her like this before. Her office is pale with winter sun, and dust motes float around us. I hope I'm not swallowing them. I try to breathe through my nose. Clementine? I can't look at her in the eye. I concentrate on the biscuit-colored carpet and my black boots. They're scuffed, and the yellow laces are unraveling. Mrs. Elliot was quite shocked, she continues, resting back into the comfy chair again. We're in the informal bit of the office, away from her desk. The chairs are navy blue and scratchy. Her short silver hair shines in the sunlight coming through the window. She says you pushed him clear across the room. You were lucky he wasn't injured. You were lucky, Clementine. I didn't mean to, I say. She sighs, but you did, and there are consequences. She looks up at the clock. Your father is on his way. Perhaps we'd better not continue until he arrives. He's coming? We called him. She nods, watching me closely. Is that okay? Yes. I don't tell her I'm surprised he's coming. It might not sound right. I love my pa, but he's very absent-minded, and he tends not to do things other parents would do. And he tends not to do things other parents would do, like come to school. He hasn't been here in so long. I wonder if he'll find it. I wonder what he'll say. Mr. Grabbit, the school broke. Mr. Grabbit, the stool broke, she says some time later, her voice close to despair. Clementine is a good student. Her eyes flick over me again as she reassures herself that I really am. But we cannot tolerate violence of any kind, and she has made no explanation. Clem. His eyes are sorrowful as ever, his unbrushed hair standing up on end like a burning match. He doesn't look like he belongs here. I guess neither do I. Maybe that's what Jago saw the first day a year ago. I didn't mean to, I say. Mrs. Duke sighs, tapping her fingers on the folder she has on her lap. I just wanted to stop him. From doing what? They both lean into me and my mouth dries up, but I'm going to say he poked me in the back. It sounds ridiculous, like I'm 5. I suppose I could talk about all the other things that have happened over the last year, but they're all so small, so silly. He says I'm a freak. He says it might be catching. He shoves his chair out and tries to trip me just as I'm passing with my lunch tray. No. I don't know how to explain it. I was different from the start, and it's lonely. Even in the moments he's not there to taunt me. Surrounded by hundreds of people every day, and alone all the same. I overhear conversations, and in my head I join and sometimes smile at a funny bit, and then I realize I'm just staring at people, smiling to myself, or I have thoughts that want to be out there, and they just wedge in my head because there's nobody to tell them to. Maybe I whisper to myself when I walk along the bustling corridors. Maybe I stare too much at other people. Maybe I drop books, miss balls, stumble on steps. Maybe I just don't quite fit. Maybe that's why I bother him so much. But I don't say any of that. I don't say anything at all. Mrs. Duke raises her hands in silence. I have no choice, Mr. Gravitt, she says. Even if Clementine had some sort of justification, it wouldn't be enough. We have a zero-tolerance policy, and there's no question that she pushed Jago hard enough to break his stool and throw him to the floor. She will have to be suspended. Suspended, Pa asks. I blush. He probably doesn't even know what that means. He probably thinks we're going to hang me upside down on the nearest tree. She is not allowed on the grounds of the school for 2 days, she says, her voice crisp with frustration. We will expect her back next Wednesday, and not before. She may access the online portal to get her homework and any study notes. Pa blinks and stares at her. I fail to see how this is going to resolve the issue between them. We will have to pick that up on Clementine's return, she said smoothly. I hope that over the intervening period, Clementine will have a chance to work out what did happen here today and be able to articulate it so that we can work with her on a solution. Pa mutters something under his breath before springing to his feet. Mrs. Duke flinches back into the chair. He doesn't look like he'd be so nimble. Come on, Clem, he says. Let's go. He doesn't exactly smile at me, but there's a twinkle in his eye as he picks up my bag and swings it over his shoulder. Mrs. Duke stands and follows us out, frowning from the door as we leave. 2 little matches against a gray sky. We don't look like we fit, because sometimes we don't. Pa may not have it in his blood, but he's known about magic for longer than I've been alive. And me? I guess there's not much use in denying it now.